Welcome, everybody, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, everyone watching late night stream tonight, but same podcast time as usual. Uh, Interesting show today, guys. We have very little news, which was the same case last week, but we had some ideas after last week's little bit of news, so it's going to be a fun episode. It's going to be more of a creative episode. We will get into news first, but before we do that, gentlemen, how's your week? How's everything going?
Oh man, it's been a crazy week. I'm down in Yuma right now. You haven't noticed, I'm not in the Batcave. My dad's a little sick under the weather, so we came down here to so we can do it, help and support him out. But besides that, my kids are about to graduate pre-K and second grade, so it's been a pretty good week. Besides my dad been getting sick. What about you guys?
It's been a pretty good week for me too. By the way, like are you on an iPad right now?
Yeah.
Hey, Gil, you look good.
Pretty clean.
Looks good, dude.
Fresh.
It's my wife's. You know what I mean? So she's like, you can use it. I'll let you do your thing with your friends. And I was like, all right.
Well, you should use it more often. I like that angle.
Oh, thanks, man. It's the kids' room. If you haven't noticed, there's like little girly stuff in the back, but it is what it is.
There.
That's why he likes the angle. Andrew, how was your week? And tell us all about it.
The week was good. It's been busy just with work. Just been a busy time. Lots of meetings, lots of trainings getting out there, but no complaints. It's been good. It's been going real quick. I can't believe it's already Thursday. Like, it feels like it was just last Thursday.
Yeah,
this week is flying.
Mm-hmm.
It's flown by. Well, my week was very uneventful. Work and more work, pretty much. My son had to get like one of those little helmet things on his head, so we shaved his head bald yesterday. Not bald.
That was funny.
We shaved him
that was funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The helmet is having like an issue right here, like in the back of his head, so we have to take him tomorrow to the appointment to see how to fix whatever's going on right there. Other than that, though, it's been very, very, very boring week. If you guys didn't notice, if you're not watching live or not watching the video at all, we got a new little logo.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me very much Across the Spider-Verse vibes, so we're shooting for that release date here pretty soon.
Yes, we are.
June.
Without further ado, gentlemen, let's get into. I don't want to copy Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, but new news. Okay, so
if it works.
Disney had a bunch of stuff they announced today. Let's just get right to like what we care about, which is the closure of the Galactic Star Cruiser. For those of you that don't know, that was a very expensive hotel venture that Disney launched about a year and a half ago. The big thing was the price point. The big thing was that it was only 2 days for the price point. But it was a very immersive experience. They pitched it as a engulfing into the world of Star Wars kind of experience like no other. Plus, you get like a day pass to Star Wars Land. I forgot what it's called. Galaxy's Edge. But seems like after a year and a half, Disney has announced that they're closing it down. So I believe it's closing down in September, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if they said why. I'm going to look into that right now.
I thought there was a rumor that they're kind of like taking their foot off of Galaxy Edge to potentially do a full Star Wars park.
Well, what it sounds like to me with like the culmination of everything they've announced today is that they need to cut money out somewhere. And so any operating cost isn't necessary. They're just going to get rid of right now. And if it's not profitable, which I don't imagine this cruise, whatever you want to call it, is not at the moment. I'm sure it'll turn profit, within like a 5-year venture or whatever. But I think they just don't want to suck the money up right now, and they want to free it up. They also canceled like another project they announced in Florida. That project they announced led to a lot of Disney employees not wanting to move from California to Florida, so they quit their job or lost their job. And then now they just revoked that project as well. But with that being said, let's stick to the topic, which is Star Cruiser. Any reason you guys think it was canceled? Thoughts on it in the first place? We'll start with you, Steven.
I think it was a great idea. I would have loved to jump into that and take my kids. I think my kids, especially my middle boy Jackson, who's through and through a Wookiee at heart, he would have loved it. The hard part for me is just the price. If I was I have a family of 5, if I don't really cheaper, it is For a family of 4, it's $749 per night, averaging about $6,000 for 2 nights with 4 people. You know what I can do with $6,000? I can easily go on a cruise for 5 to 6 days. I love Star Wars as much as you guys do, but that's just a little too much for a 2-day trip. You know what I mean? I just can't justify that. Yeah, that's why I leave that.
On to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steven nailed it right on the head. I think you have something that is extremely expensive that not the average consumer is going to be able to take advantage of, and therefore you only have a small niche amount of people that could actually partake in that. And I think it's probably just not making the return on investment for what it costs to operate. And, it's one of those things that it's good in theory, but doesn't really work out. It reminds me of the good old Jurassic Park, where you're got an island of dinosaurs, but you got to get to the island. Not a lot of people would be able to do that. Like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Same kind of thing.
Never thought about that. I just never thought about that. Once you said that, I've never thought that someone would have to pay to fly to the island.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That puts that movie in totally different categories of people. You know what I mean? I'm not so mad that the pterodactyl ate people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So adding on to that, I think that was the target market they were going for, was the eccentric. I want to say top 1%, maybe the top 20% of people. Definitely the higher class, like higher mid class to higher class, right before millionaire, pretty much. They were shooting for those guys. I don't think even for that kind of class of people, a 2-night immersive experience is going to do it for them. I think they could have charged the same amount of money for like a 4-night. I think what they thought was going to happen was we can just do a rotation every 3 days, 2 days experience, 1 day cleanup, which means we can get 3 people in, or 3 groups of people in per week, which is, at the surface, a great idea for like the way that Disney thinks, which is attraction turnaround time, right? So they want people in and out of the line, in and out of the ride as fast as possible to cram more people in the line. That's the reason why, like Peter Pan, for example, is like one of the slowest lines, is because their turnaround time is just abysmal. But then you have things like Cars, where they have a long line, but the line goes by in like an hour because they have a quick turnaround time. I think they were in that mode, and they didn't think it through about the actual like consumer. And it kind of bit them in the ass, in my opinion. There's things. I'm a Disney fanatic beyond belief, but when they first announced this, I was like, "You guys are out of your mind." Even though I want to do it, this is insanity. So to kind of see them, and by them I mean Bob Chapek, get slapped in the face with them canceling it is great to me. Iger, it's a good decision, I think. I don't think it's a bad decision. The only sad part is people are going to lose their job again, and the Imagineers who made this great, from what I've seen, a great immersive experience. Like, this could not have been a better Star Wars experience. Those Imagineers no longer have their beautiful product being out there for people to see. So that's my only regret with it. But
so we know somebody who actually went on the Galactic Tour. A good friend of ours, our family to say. She said it was an amazing trip. She had a blast. The only thing she said is that she did not get her money's worth. She's like, I could have spent a fraction of this, went to Disneyland, and could have gone to Galaxy's Edge and had the same kind of fun. You know what I mean? So when she says that, and she's willing to spend money on some of the dumbest stuff, but when she said that, I was like, because I did some checking around to see what I can get for $6,000. I can get 3 nights at the California Adventures hotel, and I can get a 4-day park hopper, and I would still have $1,500 left over for a family of 5. So I just don't see where that's just. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So also too, they reached out to a lot of YouTubers this last couple days. A lot of these Disney Star Wars YouTubers got invited out to Disney to try to push this. And to do the Star Cruiser, and they talked about changes, they talked about new pricing, and I just still think that it was just a little too late. And then also they needed to trim the fat to save some money, and you got to do what you got to do. So
Like at the
it
end of
sucks
the
for the
day,
people.
the product is good, right? I don't want to like.
Yeah,
There's
don't want to bash it.
nothing to do with like the actual experience when you're there. To me,
Right.
and honestly, the price point really isn't even the problem if it's longer than 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if those 2 days give you access to, I mean, it kind of ruins the experience for others. So I say this lightly, but if those, like at the very least, have those that one day I go to the park, they limited it to just Galaxy's Edge. Why? Like I'm paying $6,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like give me at least let me go enjoy the rest of the park. Not even
Yeah.
like the rest of the parks, just the rest of the park that I'm in, right? So it's either
Right.
Hollywood Studios or Disneyland. Like, just let me at least enjoy the rest of this park because I can only do so much in Galaxy's Edge within an hour or so.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the thing is I just feel like the value for money wasn't there, but I think the experience was a once in a lifetime experience, which is why it's a once in a lifetime kind of price. It's just when you get down to brass tacks of it, like Steven said, like if I'm thinking about spending $6,000 at Disney, I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely staying at either the Pixar Pier hotel or I'm staying at the Grand Californian. I'm just gonna ball out at Disneyland
dude.
for
Yeah.
that price. So.
I just think your return on investment for $6,000 can go a lot further at the actual park than
100%.
doing this where it limits you. Just
Yeah.
So we'll leave it there. I think we all kind of agree it's just overpriced. That's what kind of bit them in the ass. Side note, Andrew, whatever you did to your lighting this week, don't do it again because
I know I'm trying to figure it out. I can't figure it out.
Throwing me off there, brother.
Okay.
So moving on, keeping it pushing to the next topic because I want to get to the actual fun stuff that we planned last week.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be.
So Sony's gaming conference, they have one. So as we've talked about before in the past, E3 was canceled. We all know why. The big three didn't want to come because they were all going to do their own gaming conference. Microsoft announced theirs before time. Nintendo had just announced theirs like right when E3 was canceled, and then Sony hadn't announced theirs yet, but everyone kind of knew it was coming. It's been announced. It's coming here in a couple weeks, I think. Gentlemen, expectations on possible games, possible devices coming. I have one device that I think they're going to announce that I'm really excited for. But I'm also excited to see more gameplay for Spider-Man because as someone who owns a PlayStation, I get to play that game. So, gentlemen, thoughts? We'll start with you, Andrew.
Yeah, I think for sure Sony jumps into the handheld market. I think with just how well the Switch is done, you have a whole bunch of other handhelds popping up. I think Asus has got one that's getting ready to release here pretty soon. It just makes sense that they would jump into that, and there's already a love for the PSP. It just makes sense. Revive that, bring it back, make it even better and stronger. I think Sony has a lot going for it, similar to the Switch, where some of these handheld devices are just handheld computers, and that requires a lot more versus just having a specific system for games. I think the performance can be much better than trying to make it a mini computer at that point.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what's going to take the cake is a specialized device with specialized games that are optimized for this device, like a la Nintendo Switch, versus like a Steam Deck where it's great hardware on the surface, but I don't want like a layer upon layer upon layer of a UI. So Steven, thoughts on
simpler is better.
Well, Andrew, you even talk about the best thing about the conference, which is going to be Spider-Man 2.
Ooh, let's go, man! I cannot wait for this game.
Literally, I've never played a Sony Spider-Man game. The last Spider-Man game I played, I think, was Spider-Man 3, like the old Sam Raimi one. Like,
wasn't that on 360?
Yeah, that
was a good game.
And I think I might have even played. It might have actually been 2 on the GameCube. Like it's been that long.
Man, that's a long time. Yeah, so for Sony,
I'm not the right person to ask that.
For Sony, I'm excited. Like you said, PSP news. I want them to bring back some of the OG remasters. Like some of the Tony Hawk's would be dope. I would pick up a PSP if they brought back a remaster like Tony Hawk. The rumor mill is they are remaster. They're going to remaster. I can't get that out. Snake Eater for the Metal Gear Solid 3. That's the rumor. Did you guys play Metal Gear?
Never.
I played Metal Gear. Yeah, I played a couple of them on the PlayStation 2. Great game. The most confusing storyline of all time. I thought I was playing as Solid Snake the whole time, and then I realized that I'm a clone of Snake
Oh gosh.
who now goes by Big Boss, who it's so crazy. Like, I watched an hour and a half to try to understand it on YouTube the other day. I got 30 minutes in and I was like, dude, I've given up. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I'm waiting for that, and I'm waiting for I still feel like PlayStation's going to come through with the PlayStation Pro, or they're going to be talking about a PlayStation Pro.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that because that means that Xbox has to step up, and then with the handheld PSP, that means that Nintendo's going to have to step up. They can't just sit on a 10-year handheld console and think they're still going to run it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the handheld game will definitely force Nintendo. I'm still skeptical. Like Nintendo, like you think of Nintendo, that's not like the groundbreaking graphics. Like that's never been their forte. So I think we finally make a push into maybe like a 4K Switch, but
What's rumor mill is that there is Sharp is making screens for Nintendo, but they're LCD.
Oh,
One of
okay,
the
okay.
higher ups of Sharp came out and said that they're fulfilling orders or at one of their their investment meetings, and said they have a massive order from Nintendo that they're already fulfilling. So the LCD, I haven't been in the TV game in a hot minute, but isn't an LCD kind of an older tech for a screen? You know what I mean? Like, I want to know what they're going to do with it. But Sharp doesn't make a clean screen anyway, so I'm not really a big fan of Sharp.
Yeah, I mean, LCD, it's you have a clear winner in OLED. The OLED
Hands
picture
down.
quality is just better. So it would be interesting to see them take a step back, especially.
Well, it's price point, right? They're gonna have the OLED one and then this other one for cheaper. So OLED's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
I can see them doing another. What was it? What was the other Switch called without the Joy-Cons coming
the
out?
light.
The light.
The light. Maybe they're coming out with a new one and just doing the light with the LCD, and then the OLED being like a better version of the handheld. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I think the non-OLED ones are LCD still, but
Yeah,
maybe
they're trying to get like a better color palette.
something.
Yeah. So to add on to both of you gentlemen's comments, one, the PSP. At this point, it's not a matter of like, is there a PSP coming? To me, it's which one. All right, I'll be getting the Vita. I'll be getting the slide up one that we got last time. We're getting the OG PSP with a little disc in the back.
That's fire.
At this point, it's just like which PSP is coming. Are we getting the PSP that has little touchpads in the back? That was like really cool for like FIFA.
I never played that one. I never played
FIFA.
that one.
FIFA on that was elite because you took a shot. Wherever you touched on the back is where your shot was going in the goal. It was so sick.
That is sick.
Anyways, so to me, it's like which PSP we're getting because it's coming. And then, it's not going to come probably to like next year or the year after that. I don't care when it comes. Just bring it here. And then to counterpoint like the Nintendo Switch thing is the reason why I think it puts the pressure on Nintendo is because Nintendo, their hardware has capability to port games over to their hardware, right? If you can run Call of Duty on your Switch, which you can because you have a deal in place with Microsoft already, you can run almost anything really that isn't a crazy high-end PC game. Anything that console can run, you can basically run at that point. And I had an issue yesterday, 2 days ago actually. I wanted to play WWE 2K23. I have a Nintendo Switch that's portable. I want to play on the go. My son, his sleep has been like 50-50, so I want to be able to like put it down quickly and then go put him back to sleep, come back out, pick him back up.
Right.
So 2K23, right? I have a gift card as well for Nintendo. Went in there and I looked it up. It's not there. It doesn't exist. Last one was 2K18. Cool, whatever. Let me find another sports game then. There's no other sports game but FIFA and MLB. And I don't want to play either one of those games because I have those. I already have those on my Xbox, not my Xbox, my PC. It's just I'm paying for the same game twice at that point. And then I started looking deeper into like other games that are like pretty universal, right? Like Overwatch, stuff like that. And they have no attempt to make portables whatsoever. They stick to a little niche of games, and they rely on that because right now they're the only good handheld device. when PlayStation comes in with theirs and can port over everything they have to offer, God of War, Assassin's Creed, everything they have to offer, the entire library, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Nintendo to be like, okay, we need to step up our games because our market share is going to be not cut in half, but it's going to be cut into a good chunk for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it becomes no one's buying our games now because it's such a niche amount of people that have our system in the first place. It's the whole Wii U thing all over again, right?
Mhm.
The Wii was cool because it was unique. The Wii U was a controller in your hand that was a console, like the other two consoles already do, and they just got smoked for years with the Wii U. So I hope it pushes Nintendo to push for more port overs because the hardware's there to push to port over. There's no reason not to have WWE 2K23, but then you have AEW wrestling that I don't want to play.
So honestly, I think they double down on their proprietary games. I think they start to solely rely on that, like, because if you think of it, it feels like each main player, Xbox, Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo, they're all, everybody has their ecosystem or choosing which one. And it used to be pick Xbox or PlayStation for your like good hardware, and you'd pick Nintendo for the Nintendo games. And now it's kind of turned into, okay, well, I'm going to pick Xbox because it's got PC compatibility and Game Pass is really cool. Sony's always been a very heavy hitter for single player games. Same thing with Nintendo. I feel like they double down and they have to start coming out with more Nintendo exclusives to be able to compete with that because their hardware is not going to compete with it. I don't see Nintendo.
But there's a difference now between like what you said in the past versus now. The difference is there wasn't a portable system. So guys like me who just wanted a portable gaming system, I didn't care what it was because all there was Nintendo at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a Switch out of spite of like, I just need a game like on the go kind of thing. The difference is now Nintendo has a taste of the kind of market share they could have with that kind of market. When that gets even cut in by 30-40%, because it's going to be significant. The amount of people that like just buy a system like I did just because I needed a portable device now have a thought, oh, PlayStation or Nintendo. Oh, there's this system where I can play Mario and stuff like that. Cool. Great. That's awesome. I'm sure 1 out of 10 gamers are going to choose that one because of that specifically.
Yeah.
But the other 9 are going to say, oh, I can get better games on this one over here and better graphics and better quality.
See, I don't know. I don't think that's true. I think Nintendo's got such a grip on like Nintendo fanboys that the majority of Nintendo people aren't buying it because of the portability. They're buying it because that's where they get their Legend of Zelda fix. That's where they get their Mario fix.
So those guys are going to stay. I'm talking about the other guys who have come now because it's the only portable device.
Yeah.
They now say, oh, there's something else now that's better I don't want to, whoever is the Nintendo gamer, I apologize. All right. But you're not a gamer if you're just playing Nintendo games. So the true gamers that are looking at all three equally, including PC, they're going to say, here's the better quality gamer item, which is going to be the PSP. Let me go with that instead. So everyone else, the Nintendo fanboys are going to fanboy. We know that already.
Yeah.
It's everyone else that's right here that came to Nintendo recently because they said
of the portability.
Nothing else. Right. That's what's going to change. And it's going to hurt. It's going to cut. It's going to sound crazy to you guys, but 30-40% of their consumers, not right now, but like possible future, like year over year, they're just going to die after that, in my opinion.
Yeah. So also too, Sega, Nintendo, Ubisoft, and other publishers are moving their Nintendo Switch games to $70. Do you think a Nintendo game on a Switch is $70? I'm not gonna lie to you. If they told me you could buy Harry Potter Hogwarts for $70 on a Switch, or I could pay $70 on my console, I'm buying it on the console. You know what I mean? And the fact that they're charging $70 for a game on a console that came out 7 years ago, that I have a problem with. If I'm comfortable all day with $49.99 for a Switch game, but $70, that's a different. You have me wanting to buy it for the Xbox or a PlayStation or my PC versus a handheld with PlayStation 2 graphics most of the time. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
see it being a $70 game.
Here's the
So-
other thing too that threw me off recently. I was looking for a Switch game, and I'm looking on the shelves, and I see what's it called? The new Zelda game.
Tears of the Kingdom.
I see that for $60. I look to its left, and Breath of the Wild is still $60.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Huge problem.
It's been on sale for like 30, like the last couple of weeks. It might not be on sale when you
It should be
currently
on.
saw
It
but
should be permanently discounted to $30 because the new
Yeah, it should
one
be.
has come out.
It should be $39.99 all day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know. There's going to be some strategic thing that Nintendo's going to have to change up. I don't think it's going to be anything like too. Like the console itself is not going to be drastic. I think what's going to change is their attempt to get more popular games. I think if they get Call of Duty successfully on the platform, it's already a massive step in the right direction.
Mhm.
But I think strategically they're going to have to change some of these game prices. There's no reason why Mario Tennis Aces 8 years later is still $60.
dude,
I'm sorry.
still
But-
$60, dude.
But let me ask you, why would somebody buy, to Steven's point earlier, why would somebody buy Call of Duty on Switch over just running it on like a PC? You're
Maybe
saying
because of
specifically for the portability?
Yes.
yeah.
But I guess my real question is, are people willing to sacrifice performance for portability?
Yes. If the game runs properly on the Switch and I'm playing Call of Duty without any kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like if it's optimized and ported over properly and it's Call of Duty to its core, but I'm not saying that Call of Duty at its core right now is at its core anyway. But anyways,
Yeah.
if the game mechanics are the same, everything like that, me specifically, I know for a fact I will 100% pay for Call of Duty again just to play on my Switch.
So even if they come out and they're like, okay, so when you play it undocked, you're only going to get 720p at max 30 frames per second, not
Yes.
guaranteed. I just feel
I'll
like
play.
as a competitor, if you're playing against people that are on better hardware, like where's the fun in that? Like
I'm not playing
are
competitively
putting
in that situation.
Okay, so you play story and then
No, I'm
story
just
is
playing
done?
multiplayer. I'm just having fun on COD at that point. I'm not trying to grind for
Yeah.
Platinum 3 or anything like that.
Yeah,
I get
but
what you're saying.
you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by putting worse hardware in your hands.
Dude,
I totally
I'm
agree
playing,
with that.
I'm playing Call of Duty in a hotel in Dubai. Not Dubai.
Yeah.
A hotel in Texas instead of having to lug around a PC the whole time. That's
But your
freaking. My
laptop-
PC is
your-
like 15 pounds.
Yeah, but your laptop probably produces better performance, and
It's also 15 pounds. I just said that.
Yeah.
My Switch is this big and goes in a case this small.
Mhm.
My laptop is massively huge. Plus, I need me a controller.
Yeah, I see benefits of both. Like
Mhm.
I played Fortnite this morning on my wife's iPad through Xbox Game Pass, and it was better graphics than my son's PSP or my son's Switch.
Mhm.
It was crazy. I used my Xbox controller and played, and I played at the hospital for a little bit. I played at my mom's house. I was everywhere, and it's on an iPad. You know what I mean? So.
Mhm.
I think
Streamed.
streamed, yeah, and there was a
That's a good point.
slight delay, but it was amazing, good graphics, everything. So I do think that Nintendo is now going to have to start fighting for their spot a little more if PlayStation drops that any of the Vitas or any of the PSPs.
I don't
Quick
know.
question before we jump, what was your favorite PSP game? If you want me to go
Asking me,
first,
right?
I'll go first.
You go first.
Anybody. All right. Did you guys ever play NFL? I think it was Underground. Did you guys ever play that?
Mhm.
Where it was like kind of like NFL Blitz, and it was just like crappy football where you could throw it, jump off the wall, punch the dude,
Mhm.
intercept the ball, and take off. I played that game until it broke. That game in Need for Speed Dub Edition on my PSP was in constant rotation. I don't think I played anything else but those two games. I played it until my disc, the little tray in the back, broke.
Mhm.
Gosh, I love those games.
I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite when I explain mine because it's exactly to Matt's point he was just trying to make.
What was it?
So the one that I played, like it was always in my PSP. It was the Battlefront 2. Like I had that for
so
Xbox,
good.
but it was like when I had that to be able to play on the go, like I said, makes me sound like a hypocrite of what we were just talking about. But
yeah, so mine was, I mean, Battlefront 2 is a really good shot. I remember playing that game a lot on the PSP. I remember for some reason played SOCOM a lot on the PSP.
Ooh, SOCOM was good.
And I remember FIFA, obviously. FIFA to me, so it's going to sound kind of crazy, but I saw no difference in the quality of FIFA on a console versus the PSP when I was playing it. I freaking loved FIFA. And I just remember, like, I was on a traveling team back then with my team or whatever. We'd have one PSP, which was either mine or my friend Omar's. And all of us just be huddled up like in the back, the very back, trying to figure out who can get the most amount of goals and that kind of stuff. So
passing the PSP around.
But I think, like, from a story perspective, I think there was a game called X-Men Apocalypse.
Ooh, that's good. A good game.
Where it was the X-Men as a whole, and you would team up with the Brotherhood and then the X-Men to fight Apocalypse and beat him. It was such a difficult game that I never even got to fight Apocalypse. But I just remember, like, the puzzle aspect to it versus, like, the RPG aspect of it. It was just, like, freaking crisp. And the cutscenes were like I was watching a movie the whole time. So that one's probably my favorite one.
Yeah. What movies did you guys watch on it?
I don't remember watching movies on it.
I watched Kill Bill. I had all the Kill Bills. That's all the only movies I had, and I just Kill Bill 24/7.
I watched the King Kong movie, like the first one with
Jack Black.
With Jack Black, yeah.
Just
that did pretty much.
Yeah, good. I mean, watching movies ahead of its time. Ahead of its time, man.
The other aspect of the Sony thing, which I'm going to touch on real quick, is Spider-Man 2 coming out. I'm just very excited for that game because the best Spider-Man game ever, in my opinion, is Ultimate Spider-Man, and that's because you can switch between Venom and Spider-Man like in real time. And using Venom to be an anti-hero was like the freaking best thing in the world. And you would just switch in real time. So what I'm seeing in this game is a little bit like that. From what I can see, we know Venom's in it, but they're saying that he's going to be a playable character as well. So if we're going to have that bounce to bounce to bounce aspect of it, like we did with Ultimate Spider-Man, where we're bouncing from Peter, then to Miles, then to Venom, I get reminiscent of those days. I know how freaking good that game was because you were simultaneously playing the same story, but two different perspectives. So I hope it's the same kind of thing where it's three perspectives, Miles, Peter, and Venom, but the same story pushing forward. And I hope I can just wreak havoc on the town because that was so fun to do with Venom.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, all right, gentlemen, we're getting into the creative segment. So everyone clap for us, please.
Let's go.
This is our own personal creative spin on things here. Very boring news week, very dry news week. So we're going to start with something. I think the order that we have in this list, I'm going to change it, guys. So don't look at the list. We are going to start with the breakdown of a character. So, folks, the way this is going to work is we're going to pick a character. We can announce it if we want to. It can be a hated character, loved character. Who cares? At the end of the day, what it is, it's a character that you initially didn't know about, but you ended up loving him to death at the very end, him or her. And they just took you by surprise, took it by storm. So I'm going to toss it to Steven first. This one was his idea, so I think he has something prepared in the chamber for it. Steven, go for it. Analysis. We want to know everything.
So this is going to be a character that went from being absolutely hated. I remember leaning over to my wife going, this guy's an asshole, man. Like, I don't know what his deal is. And by the end of the show, I was a 33-year-old man, like sitting on the couch, kind of like contemplating crying because it was such a beautiful story and how it ended that I told everybody about it. I remember going to have lunch with my mom and telling her about the story. She's like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. But I was so involved with this. And his name, and I don't know if you guys have ever watched the show, his name is Itachi Uchiha from Naruto. He is a character where, a short story, I don't want to get to take up all the time, but they have one village with different clans in it. And their clan was just the dopest clan, like their abilities. And he killed everybody. He killed his whole family except his brother. And in the show, he makes his brother relive the death of his whole clan about 1,000 times in like a second, and then dips. So his brother, you see this, and you're just like, what the hell? Why did he do this? You just killed everybody. And then every time you see the growth of the other main character, his name's Sasuke, every time you see the growth of this character, the brother shows up just to like smack him. And he's like, dude, I've gotten so strong. His character's leveled up. And you just see his brother show up, smack.
Smack the shit out of him.
Dude, like gnarly smack. And by the end of the show, you understand why he did what he did. And you see the growth of a brotherly love going, if I can't be there for you, I'm going to make you so mad that you become strong enough to take care of yourself. And the character development is just phenomenal. People who watch Naruto, people who watch anime, no matter what happens, everybody kind of puts a little bit of respect on his name. It's even as not an anime fans as you guys are, I guarantee you, if you go on YouTube right now and go to breakdown of Itachi Uchiha, you would watch it and be like, whoa, like this is dark. You know what I mean? Very dark. And then by the end of the breakdown, you would show some like, dude, the character development and went away. I had no idea it was going to go. I thought he was just going to be a bad guy like everybody else, and he would fight and kill his brother. And that's kind of what happens. But the fight scene and how it goes down, you're just like, it's beautiful. You just want to clap, man. It's like one of the Rocky fight scenes where you have so much passion in it that it has so much passion that you're just like, how's this going to end? And then when it ends, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I just don't want to give it away if there's people out here watching it. But so that is a character.
Let's be real quick about giving things away. I can speak for myself. Who I'm gonna speak about, these people have had plenty of time and opportunity to watch these things. Same. So just go away with the spoilers. Just go.
All right, going with the spoilers. So he kills his whole clan because his clan was going to do an uprising, and potentially his clan would have got wiped out. All the clans would have came together and they would have killed his little brother. So he told the heads of this village, I will take care of them, but you need to protect my brother. If something ever happens to my brother, I'm coming back and murdering everybody. And halfway through the show, you see his little brother starting to get tough, and you're like, damn, this dude's putting in some work. He's coming a badass. His brother shows up and goes, you're not ready to fight me. And he smacks the crap out of him. And you're just like, dude, we've been watching 4 episodes of this dude get down, and he just gets mollywopped within a second. And then you start to realize he did things for the village he sacrificed his life pretty much. He went to the dark side so he could protect the people he loved by always kind of maneuvering around the village. And at the end, you see him literally get killed by his little brother, but he goes, all right, you're strong enough to protect everybody. I'm out. And he dies. But it is such an amazing story. It was just, it's crazy. It's a good story. Yeah. But that's my character.
So, the character you mentioned, Itachi, right? That's his name?
Yeah, that's his name.
Everyone that's watched Naruto that I've seen, they love that character. And there's like a thing on Twitter where like it's like peak character art. It's like a chef's kiss thing. And every time someone just mentions him, it's like everyone's like, I love him. He's the best. So the praise is definitely there. I think everyone got the same story arc out of it, which is good. That's good character development. When you start to hate someone, you end up loving them at the very end. That's just really good writing. So I'm always excited to see that kind of redemption arc, like a villain kind of a thing. So
yeah, very well done. Very, very well done.
This man has him tattooed on him.
Yeah. That is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
so that's my guy.
Actually, before we go to you, Andrew, any questions regarding Steven's character?
No, it's piqued my interest. I've never watched anything Naruto, so
me neither.
If you do watch it, there's a lot of filler episodes. Let me know. I'll send you a link, and you could skip. There's about 800 episodes, but you could skip about.
Goodness.
Yeah, but it's 2 shows, two shows like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden.
Oh, okay.
No, like right after each other that you see them get growing up.
Dragon Ball Z kind of thing.
Yeah, there's about 300 episodes where it's like, it's just because it was on like during Saturday morning cartoons on Cartoon Network, and you have to get the fan base involved. But that you could skip almost 350 episodes. I watched it in like 2 months because I was so hooked. Yeah, it's really good, especially for the kids. My son loves that movie or that show. So yeah, what you got, Andrew?
Andrew, tossing over to you.
So I really like this topic. I have had
stick
a
those
very
fillers.
difficult time of picking who I wanted to talk about. I want to give you guys some of my honorable mentions before I go to the person. The first person that came to my mind is from Avatar, and it would be Uncle Iroh. Like, dang, like
that's a good character.
someone who was a sleeper character who just
Great.
Everyone loves him, man.
just everything taken away from him.
Wants to build his tea shop and go about his life. Oh.
Yeah,
just a solid character from start to finish. Another one that came to my mind, which is probably a little bit controversial, but I think Ben Solo or Kylo Ren is an interesting character, often overlooked. I think there's definitely a lot more that they could have done with him. But the person that I'm going to go with, and this shouldn't be a surprise for either of you gentlemen,
Harry Potter.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Please don't say
Severus Snape.
Severus
Snape.
I knew he was going. Yeah. I knew he was going something Harry Potter.
Yeah. So Severus Snape is just he was always such a cool character in his development. Sorry, I forgot one more honorable mention. It's another Harry Potter, but Draco Malfoy. The movies didn't do him justice. Like, they portrayed him as such like just a whiny Potter. He should be the anti-Harry. Like, Potter. In terms of power, he was up there with Harry, and I just feel like the movies didn't do him nearly as much justice. But anyways, getting back, Severus Snape, of course.
So we just lost all our viewers.
No. Come on, Severus Snape is probably some.
No, he is. He's dope. He's a good character. Good character. I didn't even think about that. That's a good pick.
Okay, so there's a couple things that I really like about Severus that, again, and Matt hates when I say this, but you got to read it in the books to really appreciate it. So little stuff like the fact that he is the Half-Blood Prince and this potions master is because of Lily. Like, just everything points back to Lily. So Lily was really good. She was part of the Slughorn or the Slug Club, and that drew him to follow the girl that he was in love with. So he started getting better in potions. Hey, how can I spend more time with this person? I can get really good at potions, and I can show her.
That's pretty dope.
Everything, like literally everything, comes back to. I mean, it's a little stalkerish. It comes back to his love for Lily Potter, and then that translates into his love and care and protection for Harry. And then obviously, he makes a pact with Dumbledore and says, I'm going to be a double agent. He has to convince arguably the most powerful wizard of all time that he's on his side, and he becomes his right hand. Literally, it's the man is a master of occlumency, and so that's partially the reason why he's able to fool Voldemort, is because he knows Voldemort's tricks probably even better than him. He's got all the Death Eaters. Like, there's so much about this character that's so great, and the fact that you don't understand it until the very end makes it even better, because part of you is like, what was he bad? Like, did he play Dumbledore? But then you realize, like, Dumbledore put it up to him, and it was all for the love.
So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question. In the books, I don't remember this. In the books, does he tell Harry? You remember when he's in potions class? And he tells Harry, "What do you get when you mix this with this?" And then Hermione raises her hand. Mm-hmm. Is that in the books?
I don't remember that being in the books. I think that's more of a movie thing.
Yeah,
I'd have to double check, but there's like a little bit more that's expanded on that everything he's saying is actually how to make a lily. Like, it ends up being a flower. And so he's talking about Harry's mother. He would know, and he would understand that Harry doesn't know this stuff because he's not grown up in the magical world. So it makes sense that it's just hey, I'm talking about your mom without you knowing, which is kind of a weird thing to think about.
Well, little stalker.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the fact that his Patronus was her Patronus, like literally everything. And I remember when we watched the movies together, Matt, like when we got to that scene where like it just
That's not
insult
suspect
dump
or
of
nothing.
everything, you like you just were like, dang, that was heavy. Like
Yeah. Oh, so Matt actually admitted that was a good part.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
No. So okay. So two things. One, it reminds me of Ted Bundy, the way you're talking about it right now. Two, the reason why I was flabbergasted and in tears when he died, because I couldn't believe he was finally gone. I endured
Shut up.
5 movies, 5, 6, 7, however long, 6 movies, 5 movies of this just abysmal character who was
Grumpy,
just
angry.
and I was crying tears of joy and relief that I didn't have to endure the pain of listening. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman, by the way. But
Yes.
endure the pain of having to listen to that character again.
So I recently saw an interview of Alan Rickman, and he wanted out of the Harry Potter franchise after 2.
Oh gosh.
And J.K. hadn't finished writing all the books, but she went to him and said, "You don't understand. Your character is this important. Let me explain it to you." And he actually knew like everything that was going to happen in the
Wow,
books
that's cool.
first. And that's what kept him motivated to stick around, because he did not like the character at first. It just wasn't doing it for him.
Yeah,
but
I
she
didn't like
spilled
him
it.
at first either, and then I ended up not liking him at the end too. So it's crazy how that happens. But
I just wish it would have been so fire when that snake was hitting him. If he was all "never give up, never surrender" from Galaxy Quest, that would have been so awesome.
no, look. I'll tell you what. I was genuinely pissed off that he killed Dumbledore. I mean, Andrew was there. I was like visibly upset. So when it came full circle, I was like, okay, at least that makes sense. But I was when he like almost died, like when he died in the first, like when Voldemort had him killed, I was like, you deserve it, you punk! Like you killed Dumbledore, get this out of here. And then the thing happened with the tear, and I was like, oh,
Yep.
So
the crazy thing to think about too is, so when he makes the decision to kill Dumbledore, he's also kind of signing away like his own death wish, because he knows like there's going to be a time where Voldemort's going to realize that this wand is not his, and it's going to be me. So again, just to go through with it, and he has the unbreakable curse, which is if he doesn't help Draco, he's dead anyway. Like the man has had so much hard stuff put on him, and just countless time after time just showed up.
Yeah, but it's all by choice. Like he put himself in that own situation. You know,
all for a female too, dog. I would have been like, "Yo, pass."
A female who never once had an inkling of looking at him as a boyfriend.
I mean, there was potential there.
Stop the childhood kindergarten bullshit.
That dude was probably making car payments for her. You know what I mean? Like paying her rent, doing some simp stuff. But I digress.
I will note that when it comes to Severus Snape, how they killed him in the movie, like just like no music, nothing, just like against the glass. Not funny, but like I kind of chuckled a bit. I was like, "Oh,
dude, when that glass breaks and you can see his body hit the glass," I was like, "Dude, that was vicious, bro!"
Like, dude, the crazy part is like no other background noise. They made it so it's just like complete silence. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's so crazy. It's actually well done. Cinema wise, it's well done. Any questions, Steven, about Andrew's character?
No, I think it's a great pick. Great pick.
Good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, my turn, boys.
All right, let's hear Matt's.
I'm gonna be honest. I had a hard time with this because I went from like characters who like, not that you don't like at first, but you don't know about, and then like you like him at the end. So like, it's gonna sound crazy because it's based on a real story, but like Pablo Escobar in Narcos, like I freaking loved him at the end of it. And then also I thought about Miguel Angel from Narcos Mexico. Like I watched that show again just to see his character again. So I didn't pick them two because they weren't like disliked per se. They were just like curious.
Yeah.
And then I pivoted over to like Marvel, and I thought about like a character I didn't think of before that I thought of now, which is like all of the Guardians, which I can't even talk about because you guys haven't watched it yet. But then I thought about like it's gonna sound crazy about Peter Parker and how his character went from like this goofy character to No Way Home being a super serious character now. I'm like that arc. So I was like, nah, I'll skip on that. Killmonger was the obvious choice. Skipped on that. I landed on Star Wars, gentlemen, and
okay. I did not see that coming.
I landed on two different characters who I liked at the same time, development wise, and I'm gonna tell you the one I passed on. I passed on Ezra Bridger, annoying freaking little kid who ends up being just the greatest person in the world at the end. I pivoted to a second annoying little person who, for the first 2 seasons, was the most annoying thing in the planet, and then by season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you just love her so much. So looking forward to her show this year, and she ends up being your favorite character in all Star Wars. That is Ahsoka Tano. So
it's a good
Ahsoka boys. I have a deep affinity in my heart for Ahsoka, not like in like a weird way, but like just the character Ahsoka. Just like I get excited just hearing her a part of any project whatsoever.
Yeah,
and I have such high standards for her because of this. So Ahsoka, for everyone who hasn't seen them, I know you two have seen Ahsoka in her prime and everything like that. So what makes her so great is that in the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars, she's just annoying. She doesn't listen to Anakin at all over anything. She argues with Anakin directly about everything. Every decision she makes is the wrong decision. She gets him caught up a bunch of times because of ego. And you kind of see the dynamic between Anakin being the same way with Obi-Wan and then having to deal with someone who does the same thing that he does. But like he wasn't annoying about it. She is like obnoxiously annoying to the point where she thinks she's right every time she does anything in the first 2 seasons. And you're like, dude, you're not right. Eventually, what happens, season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, she comes to realize that the Jedi Order, which is the correct answer, we know this already, gentlemen. Dooku and Qui-Gon weren't wrong. Okay, the Jedi Order isn't the order. Like it's not the end all be all. And she's the only character to publicly admit it to a Jedi's face and say this is incorrect and wrong beyond belief. Canonically speaking, I mean the Legends books are not relevant to me in this situation. Canonically speaking, Qui-Gon was always like not listening, but didn't directly say you guys are wrong. Ahsoka straight up went to jail and then doubled down and said, you guys are still wrong. Like, I don't care if I've been jailed or not.
I kind of respected that though.
Dude, it's amazing. I loved it. She took him head on. The entire council. She argued with everybody, Master Yoda included, and said, you guys are wrong. And I'm leaving the order because of it. When it first happens, it's a heartbreak, dude. Like, because although you don't like her, it's a heartbreak for Anakin, right? Like you feel him lose another person, another person that he's attached to. He now loses. She walks away from the order.
So real quick, it just makes like the already established bitterness that Anakin has so much better. Like, it's just, oh man.
Yeah. That's why I think a lot of people who don't know the Ahsoka story don't give Anakin the heartbreak respect of he lost everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
So she walks away from the order. She shows up still as a do-gooder of things, right? Which is fine. She helps out occasionally, actually more than occasionally. She helps the Jedi's more often than not because she still believes the Sith are wrong as well. She just doesn't follow the council specifically. She follows the ways of the Force, which again, if you think about it, Jedi's are not the good guys either. This is what it is. The Force has a flow. You either go with it or against it. If you're against it, you're against it. Sometimes the Jedi Order is against it. The very basis of them serving the Republic is against the Jedi Order.
Yes.
So
preach on that shit.
So she recognizes that. She goes about her business and she just does her own thing. She comes back multiple times. I'll start with just the Clone Wars. In the latest season, I think it was season 6 or 7. It's just so cool to see her take on the persona of like she understands that she has to just defeat evil with whatever way possible. Forget the Jedi Order. So there's a scene in Rebels. It's like the most heartbreaking scene where Anakin and her fight for the first time after he falls to Darth Vader, and she cuts open his mask, right? And he's like, we're doing this or what? And she goes, I'm going to kill you. Like, I have to.
That's in Rebels, right? In Rebels?
Yeah, Rebels. And then
that was the greatest fight scene in Star Wars.
Anakin / Vader goes, "That's not the Jedi way," and then she straight up says, "I'm no Jedi."
I
Yeah,
know.
fire.
So good,
I
dude.
we
So good.
That's my
I stood
one
up.
request for the Ahsoka show is we better get an I'm no Jedi. Like
Yes.
Mhm.
It's almost as iconic as "Hello there." You know what I mean? That, dude,
Yeah.
crazy.
So then going from, I mean, she does it so well that she ends up teaming up with Maul at one point to like fight the Sith, and then fought Maul after that and beat him. So not
Yeah.
only is she like just like letting the Force literally guide her, she also is like very powerful. Every fight she gets in against Sith Lords and Inquisitors, she wins like handedly.
Yeah.
And she tries to leave it to where there's no kind of possibility of that person coming back. So applaud her for that. Get into Rebels, and she takes more of like that kind of mysterious ancient Jedi legend kind of role, which she carries over into Mandalorian. But in that role, she excels in the aspect of leading Ezra down the ways of the Force without having to mention the Jedi Order whatsoever. Because Kanan also didn't really. I mean, 50-50, right? The beginning was like Kanan was like super, super, super heavy in like the Jedi way. He gets blown up and sees the real vision of things, and he ends up understanding that it's incorrect. But Ahsoka continues that guidance as well for Ezra, and Ezra starts to understand the Force on a deeper level. So I think in my this is my headcanon. I have no clue if this is true or not. To me, I think Ahsoka, besides maybe Luke at this point in time of like the timeline they're in, I think she's the most in tune with the Force than anybody else in Star Wars at the moment, other than Luke, because Luke is the chosen one in that situation. When it comes to just like mastering the Force, she is, in my opinion, she's now the Master Yoda that we go to for Force ways. So a full circle thing of like her being just this rebellious, annoying apprentice to being the absolute master of the Force. So everyone goes to her to understand things, including Luke, as we saw in The Mandalorian or in Boba Fett. So that's my character, Ahsoka. I'm obviously excited to see how much better she gets.
Yeah.
So
That's a good pick.
Yeah, while you were talking, it made me kind of come to a realization of the byproducts of what could have been Anakin if he was trained by Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, yeah.
And then you have the byproduct of Anakin, which is basically another Qui-Gon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's a very interesting mirror.
If you read General Grievous's book about how General Grievous became General Grievous, you after reading that book, you get a big dislike of the Jedi Order and how political they get, and how Qui-Gon Jinn was like, dude, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like how you could see Qui-Gon in Phantom Menace, like he kind of stands off a little bit, and Obi-Wan has to keep telling him, but sir, shouldn't we do this? Or master, shouldn't we do this? When you read that book, and then because that's when Dooku kind of goes off the rails, you kind of see why Qui-Gon Jinn's going. He's not doing everything by the book. It has a lot. You dislike the Jedi Order. You're just like, man, how are you guys so blind to see?
Right.
You know what I mean? That you guys are doing it for political reasons.
Even going down to like just an actual canonical thing of like Tales of the Jedi, like Qui-Gon is a direct descendant of Count Dooku. So, and this is the even crazier part is the person most in tune with the Force at the time, Master Yoda. Dooku's a direct descendant of him. So Dooku does understand the Force as well as Master Yoda, if not a little better, but a little different, I should say.
Yeah.
Passes it to Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon, as we see, he detected the chosen one. So like he obviously is in tune with the Force. The first one to become a Force ghost, like for that to travel down to the next two generations, which would be Ahsoka, it's just a good like full circle moment. And even in Tales of the Jedi, you can just see Ahsoka's like knack for the Force sensitivity she had as a baby. It kind of just puts a bow on things of like Ahsoka was destined to be this great Force wielder who, even without two sabers, could be just a great Force user. But then she has the two cool ass sabers too. So
yeah. Also, too, for a character as a female versus male, she is. I don't care, dude. She is one of my favorite Star Wars characters all time, dude. She is a Jedi. Is just next to General Kenobi. It is just between those two. It's a very at any moment I could pick either or, but Ahsoka is a banger of a character, dude. Whoever came up with her nailed it.
Mr. Filoni.
So pushing it to the next topic, I'm gonna do the Shark Tank topic. So that's because the time we have, I think it'll be about 10 minutes each person. We can land in the game at the right time. So Shark Tank.
Perfect.
So what we're going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to make a Shark Tank style episode. We're going to have one person pitch to the two of us their Shark Tank episode, comic book, piece of entertainment, movie, TV show, whatever it is. But we're only pitching the first episode, the first book, the first issue. So if I'm doing comics, for example, I'm going to pitch only the first issue. If Steven's doing TV shows, he's going to pitch just the pilot episode. Movie, you're going to pitch just the first 10 minutes. Or if it's going to be a series, you're going to pitch the entire first movie briefly. So we will start with Mr. Andrew Shelley. Andrew, tell us your piece of content, the title of it, if you have one, and then go with the plot.
Okay. So because it's Zelda week, I have thought of something really cool. If I was in charge of creating kind of like a MCU, DCU, some kind of universe for The Legend of Zelda, I would start with what I would call the tale of two kings. And so what this is about is it's the origin story of Ganondorf, but it's a little bit different. So a little backstory on Ganondorf. He comes from the Gerudo race. Every 100 years, there's only one male that's ever produced, and they're the king. But Ganondorf comes from a set of sister sorcerers and is brought up by these twin sisters. But I think it would be interesting if he was more of a creation than like an actual birthed ruler. And at the same time, there is a birthed Gerudo who's destined to be the king. And you have this tale of these, this has never happened before, where there's two. And so you have this buildup of brothers who aren't really brothers, but they know that at some point there's got to be some kind of challenge to where one of them is going to be the king, one of them is not going to be the king. And it takes you on a spiral to show how dark that Ganondorf becomes because of this, basically the way he's brought up because of the sorcerers. And I think it would be really interesting if at first he was more of a relatable character. Maybe he wasn't as strong, but he's twisted by this dark magic that they do. And they force him into making these decisions that lead him down to this path of wanting to gain more and more power, which ultimately would lead to like him trying to conquer the kingdom of Hyrule. But first he's got to conquer the Gerudo people. And then the end, he would end up being victorious. He would kill his brother, or not his brother, but the other male Gerudo. And then that would begin his lust for more and more power. So that would be my pitch to starting like an MCU of a Zelda, starting with the villain and showing why he's the way he is before even introducing the land of Hyrule. Like it would be in the desert. Like it could be completely separate by itself. It's just the tale of two kings.
Yeah. So
that is fire, dude. That's
right? Movie. So first movie, I need your lead actor.
Oh man, I didn't prepare for this.
We're getting into Shark Tank, baby. Come on, I know your numbers.
Lead actor. I feel like this person would do really good, but I would want them to lose a whole bunch of muscle. But if you started with like a skinny Oscar Isaac,
okay,
and then like have him bulk up throughout the movie.
Yeah. So that's your lead actor. The brother, the other guy, the second king. That's your supporting actor. Give me him.
Jason Momoa. He's just bigger always.
Okay.
So you have this clash.
Then, give me your director and your studio.
Director. This might be an interesting pick, but I'd probably go. Is his name Garth Edwards? the guy who did Rogue One.
Okay.
Gareth Edwards. Gareth, I think it's either Gareth or
Gareth.
I think it's Gareth.
Gareth.
And so the reason I would pick him is because what he does with world building is he's very good at taking large shots and making them seem real. Like I think of that scene where you're over Jeddah and there's the Star Destroyer above it. It makes it show how big. Like I want that world development to make it like a real place.
That's good. That's good.
Studio.
Or your own studio. You can be independent if you want.
Yeah, I probably would just go independent.
Independent. All right. Well,
really
there's
good.
Andrew's pitch for his first movie. Steven, if you were a producer or an investor, would you invest, let's say, the seed money for a film, which would be of this caliber, probably pretty CGI heavy and probably expensive for Oscar Isaac? I'm saying, what, 180 million for this first film?
180 million. I would have to. The only reason I'm passing on it is on this film is I love the story, and I think for the character, for the fans who are heavy into lore, like I am, I love lore.
Mm-hmm.
I think the average consumer who's going to the cinema is there has to be something where they relate to it and they see like, oh, that's the guy from when I was younger, and I feel that sometimes with original stories, it gets lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? Where I think Avatar, when it was the first of its kind. You know what I mean? And I think that's what got people hooked going, I have to see this. It's the first of its kind. But I would have to see some storyboard and see some, you know what I mean, before.
What is a number you're comfortable with right now to invest in Andrew's beginning of his culmination of MCU run film? Remember, this is just the first pitch of the first thing.
I'm gonna go 120 million. I feel comfortable with the 120. Yeah, that's where I go.
You know, you could still afford Oscar Isaac and Momoa, right? You'd have to find some lower level actors for the rest of the roles, which is okay.
Yeah,
you've been doing it before. You're gonna have a little bit of CGI cuts, but that's okay. 120 is pretty good. That's a pretty good investment still.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not putting more than $20 million in this thing.
That's messed up.
No. Listen, I would. This would be. I think I'd be conservative with it, maybe like 115, 120, like Steven's saying, just because it's the first thing. But if you give me the first Iron Man film, I'll take it all day. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, all day.
But how about that title though? I was thinking about this one.
It's a good one.
That
so,
is.
I also think too that what we're missing out with the cinema part of it is if you throw Jason Momoa's name on it with Oscar Isaac, people are going to flood.
Yeah, that's a banger.
Those names alone.
I just
matter anything like that. So
the concept that I really hadn't thought of like characters or like actors who would play the characters. I just was envisioning like the antagonist who it was just always a bigger person. So I had to think of someone who physically would be bigger, but someone who again is still could rise to it, and then basically be able to bulk up too, which I think Oscar Isaac could do. No problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
so real quick before the people, if you guys don't know, which I didn't say it, so you shouldn't know, this is going to be a weekly thing. We're going to pitch like our second thing next week. It's going to be the same thing where we're just going to pitch the next iteration of it and everything like that. So I think we lost Steven for a second here. So I'm probably just going to go. Let's see. Popped in. Perfect. All right, Steven, you are up next. Give us your pitch, what piece of entertainment it is, and title, and then plot. Go for it.
So I am a huge Avatar The Last Airbender fan. Matt is too. I would love to see in my world, I'm asking for backing to make a God of War style game of Aang or Avatar The Last Airbender. I feel that it catches the fans from the people who watched it growing up, having it being an open world, kind of how you want to go around the world to master your techniques. It being where The only one you learn first would be, I think he learns water. He starts with water, and then the map is so huge that it's just you figure out what you and how you want to adventure into this game, kind of directing you, fire being the last one. But also throughout this game, you are going to have a hunted indicator where when you're playing, you're doing a mission, and it's so annoying when you're doing a mission and like random characters start attacking you, and you're just like, oh my, give me it. You get to stop, turn around, kill them, and go back to what you're doing. Where the Fire Nation is constantly looking for you, constantly. And the more you fight, because it's Aang, the stronger the character gets. But the character starts to change a little bit. Instead of this game's more based on skill, but also your personality. Like in Red Dead Redemption, where you became a bad guy.
Yeah.
It was going through this, helping people who were, say, these guys stole my cart, and Aang being Aang, helping them out. My cabbages. So the personality meter is a huge factor. You know what I mean? You do need to fight to get stronger, but you also want to keep who you are on the inside. With the God of War fighting mechanics, how it's kind of over the top and boom, boom, boom. I think that's beautiful. I think that you have a great way of travel with his little staff. That's who...
Appa.
Yeah, and Appa. I think it is a great way to bring people who watch the show and then newer people in, because everybody loves a martial art kind of game. And that is my pitch. I do want the God of War studio to make it, because it is a little over the top. And they do a great way. Their storyboard writing is amazing. I love it. So that's what I am pitching.
All right. Andrew, any questions before I get into my questions?
You can
exclusively to Xbox, though. Right. Exclusively to Xbox.
So they're not, not the God of War devs. It sounds like okay. So, a couple things. One, it sounds like it's going to be, just to confirm, open world.
Open world.
Okay. What is the final fight Ozai?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you exclusively Aang, or can you control any of his friends?
I would say it has to do with, like, when you play Lego games and you have to, like, you get to a certain point and then you need your buddy to go do something. It would be kind of like that, where you could call somebody in, or maybe when Aang is running around, he has his team with him in certain spots. Not in, you run into Toph and you run into different people in different locations in the world. But
okay. What do I have next? Okay, so you know me. You know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
When I finish the story, where's my replayability at?
It's not. Once you finish the game, it blows up into like a ball of fire, and then that's it. You learn firebending, and it's over. No, the replayability is to maybe master every technique. You know what I mean? For combos. Like I think it would be awesome where if you learned water and stone, your combos look a certain way, but if you master water and air, it looks different. You know what I mean? Once you start to get all of them, the elements just it's appeasing. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
All right.
I also wanted to do.
Go ahead. I was going to ask if there was like a spirit at like spirit.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think like
a realm, spirit realm kind of thing?
Not necessarily spirit realm, but like an aspect of the spirit where he goes into avatar form, and like what does that look like?
Yeah,
is he super OP?
See, I think that has to do with the meter. If you go too far to the aggressive side, Aang starts to possibly the fire or the movement just gets wild. You know what I mean? You're hurting people instead of pushing them back or stopping them. You know what I mean?
I like it. I don't like the fact that it's Aang. I think you do your own character. I think you are the next avatar. There's a conflict, and I think from a replayability, like the question that Matt has, is think that's probably the first time I ever called you Matthew. That was weird.
Yeah, odd.
Yeah, is when you start the game, maybe you start from a different central tribe. So maybe one playthrough, you start from the Fire Nation, or you start from the nomads, the air nomads, and then it's like, okay, I'm starting with fire this time. It's going to be different. There's different objectives to go through. That would be my only 2 cents. Is we've gotten the Avatar story to a degree. Obviously, we don't know what happens after the series ended yet, but I think it would be cool to put the user as the Avatar. Different things happen. If it's open world, maybe if you start as fire, you have a crazy airbender that becomes the main villain.
That's actually pretty cool.
All right, Andrew, I'm looking at what the cost of God of War Ragnarok cost to make. 5 years, $200 million. Are you investing with that? He said God of War, not me. Are you investing with that kind of expectation? If not, what are you investing?
I don't think I would be able to invest $200 million. I think that makes sense for God of War, having multiple different games
in front of it. Yeah, makes
multiple
sense.
sagas already. I think, and it's hard because, like, from a movie aspect, this isn't like hire your actor. This is like you got to hire the people that make the mechanics. So if you skimp out on that, your mechanics aren't very good, and you're not gonna.
Yeah.
But I think maybe 120 million. I just don't think again, Avatar's popular, but I don't think it's quite in that same realm as God of War.
Mm-hmm. So what could I get? What would I do if I could go back and repitch this to you to get you to that 200 million? What would be something that I could do to get you to 180?
Good question.
Yeah, I think for replayability, I think for return on investment, potentially even looking at something like, instead of it being a single player game, having it as like a MMO. Like, you have people going around acquiring their skill. There are missions that they can do that take them into a single player environment, but the overworld is a multiplayer world where you can interact with people. I think you get more hours out of a multiplayer game than you do from a single player game, even if you have 4 different stories and 4 different ways that it could have.
Naturally.
So at Red Dead Redemption, the first one cost 100. Red Dead Redemption cost around $100 million to make.
Mm-hmm. But that didn't have any multiplayer aspect to it.
No multiplayer aspect. I feel like with 100 mil, I can make a pretty solid game. 200 million, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You're still paying for my DLC, but it would be amazing. But that's all I had.
Yeah, and think of, like, again, in the world of microtransactions, think of all the skins you could put out.
Yeah, that'd be. Also, too, did you guys ever play Star Wars? One with Star Killer. What's his name? Which one? Unleashed.
Unleashed.
Yeah. When you played every mode, you got and finished it on every difficulty, you got that hidden character. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I think this game would go. You knock out all different levels of difficulty. You get, Aang right off the bat knowing everything, just hard in the paint. You know what I mean? But I digress. That's my thing.
All right. I'm throwing at least 100 million at it. So
there you go.
Someone wants to come and match it. Feel free. Gentlemen, we are on to my great pitch. Ladies and gentlemen, back to my roots, back to my core. Comic books. So I am pitching to you, gentlemen, comic book run like no other. Okay, kind of. You guys are gonna pick it apart at first, but I'm gonna. It's the first issue. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you the first issue. Nothing else. We'll learn about the rest as we go. All right, first issue.
Squirrel Girl.
22 pages long. Okay, it's called Tattooed Blindly. Okay, Tattooed Blindly. Okay. All right, so superhero comic book type, more grungy, a little darker DC side than MC or the Marvel side. but we'll get to that later on. So 22 pages, probably about 4 or 5 panels per page, whatever. Just this guy talking about how hard his life is, how depressed he is. You know, parents abused him when he was younger, kind of thing. Grew up, fell in love. She died in an accident or whatever. Okay, cool. Woe is me kind of story, right? As you're going through, just black panels, nothing special for the first, I don't know, for most of the issue, right? Just black panels. He's just talking, just a black panel with the bubble in it, and it's just his thoughts, like they do in comics normally.
Mm-hmm.
About halfway through, you hear like his thoughts of like him fighting somebody, and like just things happening. The black panel then has some splashes of like red here and there, like blood, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You hear fighting going on, everything happens. You hear him go home. You hear him like start a bath. You hear him that kind of stuff, right? You hear everything, quote unquote, by reading things. You still don't see anything. Okay. You get to the end of the comic book. It's revealed that man is blind, so you are experiencing the world, his world, as he would throughout the entire first run. So everything you hear, everything you quote unquote think about is things that he is experiencing in his life because he is blind. You find out at the end of the issue that he just has tattoos everywhere, all over his body, of different things. Um, you see him have a weapon in his hand. Okay, cleans the weapon off, a knife, sword, whatever it is. He then takes it and pats the back of his back, and the tattoo was his weapon. He can pull it off whenever he needs to. So all the tattoos he has, he can't see them, but he knows he has tattoos that can do things, and he pulls it off. That's the weapon he uses. Gentlemen, that is my first issue of Tattooed Blindly. I would say there was a writer for it, be Frank Miller. He did all the Dark Knight series pretty much. If there was a penciler or a
illustrator,
probably Pepe Larraz. He did a lot of a lot of X-Men stuff. So I know he knows how to use color correctly and incorrectly, right? So like he knows how to do those things like the two tones of like blood and everything like that. That's how the first issue ends. Just the very last panel is the only one that actually has a picture of anything, and all it is him cleaning the blood off and putting it back on, and then boom, next issue number 2. Gentlemen, I am pitching to you that today. I will tell you that is $7,700. Just adding up all the pages I wanted with that per comic book. I want to do a run of 200,000 for the first go. That puts me at $207,700. Is that correct? That can't be correct. No, it's not. It's not.
What was the math?
7700 times. There you go. All right, it's $1.5 million for this first issue. 200,000 comic books. I'm aiming for $6 a pop.
What was the total again?
The total was $1.5 million for this first run. Now it's only $6 for this initial, but we'll bump up in cost later on. This is just to get people hooked on and watching it. And once that happens, we can probably get the pencilers and scripters to go back down to the lower tier. In the range I saw per page, I did the highest one. You can get as low as $10 to $15 for like a good inker / artist, up to $60. I would imagine paying these guys up front would be the right way to go. As they fall in love with the story, they will just do it not for free, but they'll cut those prices in half. Usually is what happens. We'll do more comic book runs later on to make up for the cost lost on these first 3 issues, I would say.
I have two requests. I have one request. Is it question? My first question is it's a DC comic, but is it in the DC universe?
No, it's not a DC comic. It'd be an independent company, Image or something like that. But it'd be like in that style of expectation, right? So like you're not going there to like pick up a Marvel comic where it's going to be kind of kiddish. You're going there knowing it's going to be a little bit more dark like DC, but it's going to be like Image Comics or Dark Horse, something like that.
Okay. I say I back the comic idea under one condition. Depending on the popularity of the first run, if it is successful and we recoup our money, or we recoup 3/4 of it, I would say we pitch it to DC, being in the darker Constantine kind of realm, and we let them kind of move it into continuity, where it's more of he's blind, but he has some dark arts kind of thing going on with him. You know what I mean? Maybe he's cursed, maybe something like that. If after the first run is successful, yeah, I back that. That sounds like a great idea. I was just trying to close my eyes and think about it. And I'm kind of digging that.
Yeah, let me negotiate real quick with that caveat. If of the 200,000 issues we sell, because we will sell all of them, I'm pretty confident that 200,000 is not a lot of issues to sell through. If we get 80,000 to 100,000 people putting it in their subscriber box, which means like they guarantee an issue every time we drop one.
Yeah.
Would you consider ditching that, taking it somewhere else?
He ditched. He ditched. The man has spoken.
I thought it was a good idea. It's not.
Sorry, my mom's internet's terrible.
No, you're good.
But
did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I did hear what you said. Yeah, I could back that, because if it's gonna be in a subscription box, it's pretty much guaranteed money. So yeah, I'm in. That sounds good. You got my vote.
Yeah, personally, I'm in. I say you keep it separate regardless. I think you have something special that doesn't need the DC universe to hinge on. I would be curious on.
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but I don't think you necessarily need it. I think it would be cool that you have this, and you might disagree, but I think it would be cool to have like a juxtaposing character that is very colorful, that you have like this dark, almost black pages, and then maybe it's a antagonist that's very like colorful, like not necessarily like his powers are colorful, but he's just like a flamboyant, like the show has got to be him. And so I think you have something really, really cool there. I like the idea of just the pages starting out as seeing nothing.
That's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a cool idea. It gave me. I'm pretty sure Frank Miller did a run of Daredevil.
Sin City. Didn't he do Sin City?
Yeah, he did. The best Daredevil run is Frank Miller's.
Yeah. And so it was giving me that vibe. I like that. Obviously, whatever it is, tattoo wise, he gets that from whatever it is. It would be interesting to see like a backstory where, he's not fully remembering what is what, and so maybe he's going to grab something that he thinks, and it happens to be a rubber duck or something weird. Like,
see, you're thinking ahead. And I caveated by saying the wife died in an accident. Okay, so just wait. Be patient, okay? It's coming. It's coming.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's a cool idea. I'm in.
That is cool. I like that.
Cool. All right, quickly moving on to the game. I don't know how much time we have left with the recording, but we're going to move on to the game. Andrew, the Game Master of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, all attention to the peasant of games, Mr. Oh, I'm sorry. The slightly less peasant of a game, Stephen Currier.
So we were talking about the Avatar. We're talking about shows that we watched growing up. And this week's game is going to be a draft, ladies and gentlemen. And this draft is going to be picking our 90s to early 2000, all the way up to 2020 if you want, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel TV shows.
Okay.
But the cap here is it has to be a live-action show. So it can't be Hey Arnold. It has to be live action. Something
2000s or
that
90s.
2000 or 90s. It's just what was the show that if you had a chance to get on, what would that show be? So that is going to be the game. Andrew won last time, so Andrew's going to go first. Then we'll go Matthew. Then it will go me.
Okay. So right off the bat, the first thing that came to my mind that I was always excited to wait for came exclusively on a little prime time called Snick. You might remember Saturday night Nickelodeon. Snick. It was usually a little bit more gritty, and it was always the last show, so you had to wait up latest. And it was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Dang, that is a banger of a pick. That is
It's a good one.
That's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
I love that show.
So I'm thinking hard about this. I had two instantly come into my mind, but I don't think it's going to be the draft if I pick number one. So I'm going to pick, in my opinion, what is easily the number one Nickelodeon show of all time from that era. It's a little thing called Kids SNL. It's called All That. So give me All That.
That was a good one.
I have primetime television. I have the original SNL people going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take All That.
All right. Well, then it looks like I get to go for a back-to-back, and I am going to be piggybacking off Matthew's pick because they got their debut on All That, and that is going to be Keenan and Kel. A great Nickelodeon show. And then I get to come back and go again. And this one, I know Andrew's a little older than Matt, so I'm going to be like, I would have gave everything in my closet, all my Power Ranger toys, to be on a show that only lasted 2 years, from 1993 to 1994, is Legends of the Hidden Temple.
It's a good one.
That was the show. I want to be the Blue Barracudas so bad. So bad. It used to irritate me seeing people put the monkeys together. I'm like, come on, man, it's a monkey. But I feel like I would have nailed it. I would have been there.
Good one. Really good
It's
one.
a good one.
Andrew, you're up. Oh, no, it's me.
No,
right?
it's you.
Me. Okay. So Legends was like one of the ones I was like second round. If it's there, I'll take it. But I'm going to go for the second best game show in Nickelodeon history. I'm going to go for Double Dare. All right.
Ooh,
I love me some Double
Dare.
Dare. Double Dare was so good that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made an episode that basically mimics Double Dare. So I'm taking Double Dare, the most iconic pop culture TV show of all time. Fresh Prince took influence from it, so it says a lot about it. I'm taking Double Dare.
Double Dare.
That's a good one. All right, this one I think would bring a lot of fans back, even though it's kind of controversial because one of the main characters is like on the run, if not in jail. But you have
I know who this is. This is a
Drake
banger
and
show.
Jock. Drake and Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just a good one.
That was a classic, dude.
It was
That was a
good.
classic. Dude, that is a good pick. You get to go
I'm trying
again.
to think like Disney too.
I have two that are going to be. Yeah, you can do Nickelodeon, Disney, children, live action.
Trying to think.
And we're going to go 5 rounds. So.
Okay, this one might be a dark horse, but I know like a lot of females really liked this one, and it was pretty popular. It is Clarissa Explains It All.
Oh, Clarissa Explains It All was a banger of a show. That was really good. Really good. Yeah.
Clarissa Explains It All.
Okay, so
right,
I didn't know Disney was a part of this. I missed that part apparently.
Are you looking them up? You can't be looking them up.
I am looking them up. Matter of fact, so 2000s like up to 2010, right?
It can be what show you grew up watching live action.
I am in a pickle here because there's one Nickelodeon show that I will not mention that's just iconic. Iconic. There's also a Disney TV show that is probably the most iconic TV show that's come out. So I'm going to go with Disney because I don't think you guys will get the Nickelodeon one. I'm going, since I know Disney's a thing now, I am hitting up Lizzie McGuire because Lizzie McGuire
It's a good
is
show.
Lizzie McGuire is a show that all of us as men were like, "Psh, I don't watch Lizzie McGuire," and then we go home and watch Lizzie
We
McGuire.
watch Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah,
Don't tell
so
me to watch Lizzie
Everybody
McGuire.
watches Lizzie McGuire.
I'm picking Lizzie McGuire. Just iconic is what it is. Iconic.
That's a good one. I am going to go with a classic. This guy is loved everywhere. I don't know anybody who hates this man. His show ran from 1993 to 1998. And that guy is Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, so
I
good.
used to love Bill Nye the Science Guy. He, in high school, when they would bring out the TV, or in junior high, when they bring out the TV, or in elementary school, and I knew we were watching Bill Nye. It was just a banger. Now, this next one, I think it raised me. A lot of people were raised on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I totally understand. It's a great show. This one doesn't fit into the category. This one's going to be a little younger. It was Boy Meets World. I had my first heart
Forgot that was
break.
Disney.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Dude, seeing Topanga and like not seeing Topanga, and then when I became a little older, seeing Topanga, I was like, Topanga. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that was like a show that like you grew up with. Like,
yeah, that was my show. That was it.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a really good one.
Very good.
Go for it, Matt.
All right. So the reason why I asked about 2010s thing is because this show right here, of the shows we listed, is the only one. Let me repeat, the only one so far that has come back with the original cast. Boy Meets World, we don't count because the Boy Meets World thing, we're not counting that. All right. We're taking iCarly. Okay. iCarly it literally influenced an entire generation to make what we're doing right now. Without iCarly, doesn't happen. It doesn't happen without
That's
iCarly.
a good pick.
And it was so good they brought it back.
That's
the
a
fourth
really good
round.
pick.
They drop into the fourth round. That's a fire pick right there.
Okay. I have a couple thoughts. iCarly was probably the next one I was going to go for. I have another Nickelodeon one, but I know I enjoyed it. I don't know how well received it was though. And then I have, is this our last round? Am I finishing this off?
This is your last pick for you. Wait, how many
You
you
have
have?
back to backs. You have back to backs.
Yeah, you have back to backs,
Okay,
and then
back-to-back.
Matt, and then me.
Okay. All right. If I have back-to-backs, then I'll do what I was going to do. I'm going to do the first one, which would be Hannah Montana.
That's good.
That's
good.
I didn't like it. I'm too old for Hannah Montana. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't like Hannah Montana either, but I just know it was popular. And then another one from Nickelodeon. Again, this is kind of like the one that I'm a little unsure on.
I think I know what you're gonna say here.
Ned's Declassified.
Oh, so this draft is because I started listening to Ned's Declassified podcast, and I was like, man, it started making me reminisce, and that's why. But I like Ned. I like
Ned's Declassified. I don't know how well received it was.
Let me just say to Andrew that the reason why he's going to lose his draft is because of that show. They pitched that show like 10 different times to come back, and they said no every single time easily. So it wasn't that great, obviously. With that being said,
damn, he just shit all over you.
I don't know what to go with for this last one. So I'm a lot younger than both of you old ass gentlemen. So I had thought about like my generation, which is like Wizards of Waverly Place, but then I was like, as good as it is.
There's one more that I'm thinking that you might pull.
Yeah, I'm pulling from Disney Channel. Again, so good that they brought her back for a similar show. I'm going with That's So Raven, iconic, and a very different kind of show. That's So Raven, so good. There was not one, but 2 spinoffs and a bring back.
Yeah. Yo, she did a great job, dude, making that show. That show was great. All right. I guess I get to round it off. So do I pick a fan favorite? Because I feel like I won this draft already. But do I pick a fan favorite or do I go with a banger? You know what? I'm going to go with a banger. I grew up watching it. I remember watching it all the time. I don't know if Matthew watched it because it's probably past his time, but Andrew probably did. And there's a spinoff from Sister Sister. It was The Smart Guy. I used to watch The Smart Guy all the time. Anytime it was on, I stopped and I had to watch it. It was a classic, man. A classic.
I'm surprised.
That
I don't know if this is Disney, but Even Stevens. I thought someone would say
Disney.
Even
Ooh.
Stevens.
I try to go Even Stevens, but some people hated that show.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So that's-
I can confidently say that my list that I have all better than Even Steven.
Yeah.
Confidently. I would take Phil the Future over Even Steven.
Phil the
So
Future.
you remember that show on Nickelodeon where it was like a head and there was like little words flipped and they had to guess what that person's secret talent was?
Yeah. Check this kid out.
Was it called Check This Kid Out?
I think so. With the slime,
And, like-
the slime comes down. They have little clues that come out on the track.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
like Nickelodeon's version of Jeopardy. Like
And then,
Jeopardy
like,
meets
the kids from All That were on it and like the Amanda
Yeah.
Show. Yeah.
Like check this kid out or something like that. Right? Check this out. Check out.
I don't remember.
Kid
But
something.
you know which one I forgot to say, Andrew?
Hmm.
Was
Figure it
Global Guts. Figure it out. It was
Figure it out.
Global
Figure it
Guts.
out.
I wanted to be on Global Guts so bad, dude. Run
See,
up
the
that big
thing
old
is-
mountain.
The thing is, if I say Double Dare, Global Guys are just like not Double
True.
Dare. You know, it's not even
Yeah.
double Dare. You know.
I wanted to say also, remember that show where it goes, Camp Anawana, we hold you in our hearts. Remember that show? I was going to say that, but I don't know if it was too early in the
Yeah.
90s.
My last one I was gonna say. I mean, I was gonna go with like a controversial one, which is Mr. Meaty, but
I've never heard of that.
I've never even heard of Mr. Meaty.
that's the one with the two little puppets that they look like a hot dog stand or whatever. Might be my generation, but then I also thought of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. That's
That's what
Ooh,
I
that's
thought.
iconic,
That's what I
man.
thought you were gonna say.
I thought you were too.
Mhm.
What'd you guys think of My Cousin Skeeter?
I don't
Remember where
that
everybody
one.
was live action and he was a little boy and he was puppet? And it was My Cousin Skeeter. Yeah. Look it up. It's called My Cousin Skeeter. I guarantee you're going to see it and be like,
And then I was gonna cheat. I was gonna do like Nick at Night, which is like George Lopez, which would have just thrown the whole like just torched you guys.
Yeah,
But
it would've.
that would have been cheating. Cool.
that was my game.
I think that was the game. I think the category was really good. That's a great
Yeah. it was.
category.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
Yeah.
category.
this game, although simple, has been miles better than anything Andrew's ever put out. So I applaud you for that.
Well, we'll see
right,
next
so-
week.
With that being said, guys, we have a different segment we were going to do today. We'll do it next week as well. We're also going to pitch episode 2, round 2 of our Shark Tank idea.
Mhm.
I don't know how it's going to go for Steven because like a sequel to a game is already kind of hard to pitch, but good luck to him.
Mhm.
Yep.
With that being said, guys, we are out. Thanks for the show. Thanks for stopping by. Like, subscribe, comment wherever you're watching to. Hit the RSS feed. Adios, folks. Have a great rest of your night.